Okay, I've got a question. What do a magical snowman, a leaky roof, and an overeager small-town sheriff have in common?
Well, somehow, believe it or not, they are all key plot points in 2024's Hot Frosty on Netflix, and we've got a lot to talk about, Josh.
We do, Jennifer. We'll unwrap it all on this episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh.
It is Lacey Chabert we're talking about here, the queen of Hallmark. But what? We're not on Hallmark here. We're on Netflix for this recap and review. And a bit later on, we're going to tell you if we think Hot Frosty is worth the watch in our ever-popular Gold or Coal segment, Jennifer.
That's right. Do you think Lacey got lost in a sleigh somehow and ended up on the Netflix backlot instead of Hallmarkville? I don't know. Well, here's the plot summary. Widow Kathy magically brings a snowman to life. His innocence helps her heal and find love again. They bond before the holidays, but he's doomed to melt. When I tell you, Josh, I have never in our history of podcasting gotten more texts, DMs, messages about this movie. You all have to talk about it. Have you watched it? Are you going to talk about it? We're here. We're talking about it. Let's go.
So curtain up, and it is clear from absolute go in this that we are not watching a Hallmark Channel Christmas movie. We are watching a Netflix Christmas movie, and this is different ball of wax, different pacing, different feel, the whole 9 yards. Our female lead, Queen Lacey Chabert, gets a rude alarm clock wake up. She is super cold in her rundown house. She lives in a place called Hope Springs, and she runs Kathy's Cafe. K. Kathy's Cafe. She's clearly beloved by her staff and her customers. Now, we see that there's like a snow sculpture competition on the town square as Kathy steps over to her friend's shop to drop off a sandwich, a little bit of lunch there. The friend gives her a red scarf, which Kathy carries as she mopily wanders the town. She's a little sad at the holiday season. She sees an oddly sculpted snowman. So you've got like typical snowman, then you've got like an Adonis of a snowman, like abs and all. It's a little ridiculous.
Do you think they would call this a snowman tableau, Josh? Is that what this qualifies as?
Indeed. This is a snowman
It
tableau.
reminded me of a scene from Gilmore Girls. There's an episode that's not Christmas but wintry, and they have the little snowman competition, and then everybody's are kind of like mid, and then somebody has like Charles Dickens Scrooge. It's like, okay, well, we can't compete with that. He's like buffing the snow. That's what this reminded me of. It was a sculpture.
It was a sculpture, and Lacey throws the red scarf over this particular one, snaps a picture with it, and notices a twinkle in its eye. Twinkle. Okay, here we go. So some wind whooshes. We get some CGI wind, says my closed captioning, wind whooshing, and bam, the snowman is alive. He is also naked, so there you go. Of course, we're on Netflix here, and he breaks into...
It was a very strategically placed scarf.
Very.
I was a little uncomfortable with. Like, I didn't know how windy it was that day.
Yeah, exactly.
I was a little nervous. Yeah.
He breaks into a business on the town square and dons a set of coveralls with the name patch on Jack right here, because Jack Frost, of course. Here we go.
Nipping up the nose.
Kathy wakes up the next morning, and once downtown, she immediately runs into Jack, who thanks her for bringing him to life with the magical scarf. She offers him food, which he apparently has never had, because he's been a snowman, right? The sheriff in town is way too serious about his job, like comedically serious about it, and now there's a break-in to solve, and he wants to set up a task force to crack the case. Meantime, Kathy and Jack get to know one another well as a woman can get to know a snowman that she brought to life with a magical scarf. So we're here.
He's a little cold. You know how the guys are. Men, am I right?
Kathy thinks this is all a prank, so she's a little bit weirded out, as one would be. Still, she takes him up for a medical checkup. His temp is below 30 degrees. The doctor in town is a little flabbergasted by it all. He's ice cold, but sweating. So he's actually melting because he's inside, right? So he's hot, yeah. The doctor wants Kathy to ignore the empirical data and get on board with the idea of a snowman that just came to life. So Kathy does just that and takes Jack to her house. He flips on the TV. We get a Mean Girls Easter egg, which I thought was pretty funny. And she calls him on why loving a person is different than loving soup. So he's like, oh, I love soup and I love you. And she's like, no, those are two different things, so she's trying to teach him how life actually works.
Yeah.
The sheriff is hot on the trail of Jack, who is watching TV and eating a bowl of ice. Literally, a bowl of ice. He wanders Kathy's house and finds wedding pictures of Kathy. So she's previously been married. We get that. She comes home well aware that the sheriff is looking for Jack and tells him he has to lay low. Oh, no. He's not too worried, though, because he's making pizza. It's sweet, but it takes a sad turn when he asks her what cancer is. And it turns out that that is how her husband died. So,
Merry Christmas to all.
And to all a good night. So what are you thinking, 20 some odd minutes into this, Jennifer?
I like it. I'm here for it. I had my little snackies. I was ready. I don't know what to say without getting into my golden coals. I liked it.
All right.
It was off to a good start. I like the supporting cast, the townies, top notch. I mean, the
A-plus
sheriff
townies.
is Daryl from The Office, like the doctor in town. All these people I've seen as character actors in other comedies before, top notch. I should have
Exactly.
picked up their names, but yeah, they're
Yep.
great cast. Love the cast. What about you?
I am intrigued because I, at this point, feel like this is going to go one of two ways. This is going to be good or this is going to be terrible. So stay
And
tuned.
it's not our first movie where we're recapping where a snowman comes to life.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
recapped and reviewed Snowmans before, and a snowman came to life, and we'll link it below on our YouTube channel at least. But yeah, not our first rodeo.
And then our
oddly
first
enough.
movie. Then they're done that.
Yeah.
This one, Jack decides that he's going to fix Kathy's roof, which gets funny when a neighbor nearly wrecks her car because she's too busy awoogaing him. Because, of course, he's doing it shirtless. Yes. She
This
convinces
was my
him.
least favorite scene. Like,
course.
it got borderline too risque. Like, they didn't do anything wrong, but in Christmas movie world, where we usually live on Hallmark, I was like, oh, how far are they going to take it? Because she was hot for Hot Frosty.
Well, no, it's the way they shot it,
Nose.
too. So we don't see his
Yeah.
face during much of the scene. We just see his abs through her passenger window.
Yeah, so listener Lori Ann pointed out, there were some funny jokes and innuendos, and she liked this scene, and so we'll see.
So this woman convinces him to swing by her house so he can install a light fixture in front of a gaggle of women. Mel, the woman who gave Kathy the red scarf, happens to be there, so maybe she's putting all of this together? ? The gals take him to Kathy's diner, and oh no, the sheriff spots this mysterious stranger through the window. Is he the guy that he's looking for? Dum dum dum. There is a tense convo and some ice-eating standoff between the two. Kathy tries to get him out of there when he lets on that he's got a job doing maintenance at the middle school. She's like, no, you can't go get a job. He's like,
What
I just
else?
want to
He's
help people
not
like
a
you.
W-9 or anything? Like,
Yeah, that was my thought too. Like, how's this guy
Yeah,
have
payroll.
documentation? Yeah, exactly. Or is he just volunteering? I don't know.
we're just letting anybody hang out at the school. That's not good.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's kind of a fight between the two of them, and she's mad until she discovers that he's done a lot of work around her house. He fixed the roof, the Christmas decorations, a broken step. She says thank you, right? Yeah. It's kind of sweet.
That was a sweet scene. I liked
It
that.
does,
Yeah.
Yeah. And she says yes to him working, so we get a middle school maintenance montage, followed by a cookie and Christmas decorating montage. So clearly they know what they're doing here. We got to pass some time. We got to show some Christmas stuff. And that's how they do it. Kathy goes to pick up Jack after work one day, and they wind up talking about how tough it's been for her to move on following her husband's death. It's clear they're becoming friends, or maybe something more. Turns out Jack bought glass to actually replace the plate glass window that he broke over at Mel's shop when he needed clothes earlier on. He confesses to them what happened. Now it's kind of funny because he winds up using her credit card.
He's like,
Unbeknownst
"This is
to her.
for me. I just clicked it, and it was like, she must have had Apple Pay loaded or something already.
Something like that.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, great.
Something like that. Yeah.
There goes my credit score right there.
Exactly. Jack's at the school blowing up balloons and witnesses a middle school boy asking a girl to go with him to the dance. Suddenly, he has an idea. He's off to the sheriff's office to ask the deputy who works with the sheriff there for dating advice and kissing advice. And this is a pretty stinking funny scene, in my opinion. He asks her, she says yes, and we're off for a Pretty Woman-esque shopping montage.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Clapping down on the jewelry box and all.
All of it, yeah. She looks like $1 million for the dance in a red dress, and she helps him with his bow tie for his tuxedo. Then they're off to the middle school dance. They share a moment together. A flash mob breaks out. What? Yikes. Sure. Yeah, here we go. And oh no, it's getting too warm inside the dance. Oh no. So they slip outside to get some fresh air and almost kiss. But he's worried he's being selfish because he's a snowman.
We love a self-aware snowman.
We do. Kathy,
can't let your heart get too attached because I'm not long to the world here.
Yeah, not long. Yeah, life is short. Kathy is hosting
her. Done in Nashville, he wouldn't stand a chance.
No, he would have lasted 48 hours.
He's still here. Yeah, I'm like wearing my Christmas sweatshirts, but turning on air and fans because I'm like, I'm so hot, but I want to be cozy about sweatshirts. I was looking like him at one point today, like sweat dripping down.
The things we do.
It's a problem.
Yeah,
I know.
Kathy is hosting her big Christmas Eve party. It's a ton of fun until the sheriff shows up. He has cracked the case of the guy who ran around town naked and broke into the store. And he has proof. He's got footage from an ATM right across the street. So it's clear that he's the guy. He arrests Jack. And Jack doesn't have any fingerprints, though, because, again, he's a snowman. Snowmen don't have fingerprints.
I guess.
Which only escalates the sheriff's intensity because, of course, the sheriff is like, you burned off your fingerprints, didn't you?
Yeah. He's so extra.
So extra.
Yeah.
The sheriff
on the case. He also has a flip phone. Why does the sheriff have a flip phone?
I think it was just meant to be cool. I love it.
I was like, at one point, I was like, is this supposed to have been like filmed? Like they never really dated it other than that. So I'm like, was this filmed when flip phones were a real thing and then we were going to flash forward at the end and see some babies or something? But I could think he's just maybe small town vibes and he maybe doesn't trust smartphones. I don't know. It was funny.
So the sheriff has arrested Jack for presumably public indecency and breaking and entering, something like that. Yeah, anyway, he sets a bond.
What he did was not great. Yeah.
What he did was not great. But I mean, he made a mistake because he's a snowman. Let's not forget. They don't really know how things are supposed to work. Anyway, the sheriff sets bond for the snowman, for Jack, at $2,000, which Kathy doesn't have. She really, at this point, can't rub two nickels together because she's got some cash flow problems there. Good thing the community steps in because Jack has obviously made an impression on all the townies while he's been alive as a snowman and a community member here in Hope Springs. Mm-hmm. And so the community all pitches in and they pull their money together, and that causes a change of heart in the sheriff, and he decides to release Jack. But it's been a while. Jack has been in jail, and the jail is apparently, they're paying that heating bill, and it's been warm.
Heat's cranking.
The heat's cranking. It might be too late because Jack is out cold. Pardon the pun. Because he's a snowman. But I'll be here all week. Yeah. They carry Jack out.
We have an episode every day this week. We will literally be here all week.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So they carry Jack outside and plop him down in the snow. And it's a really kind of touching scene, especially when Kathy stoops down and says goodbye with a kiss because they think Jack's gone. He's a snowman. He's melted. He's gone.
Laying in a snowbank.
Exactly. But alas, like a Disney movie, this is love's true kiss. And it promptly brings Jack back to life. What miracle.
More whooshing.
More whooshing, because now Jack isn't a snowman anymore. He is just 1,000% man, and he is there, The town celebrates, Jack and Kathy smooch, and before you know it, they are off to Hawaii because now that he doesn't have to worry about melting, he can go on vacation. And they go off.
Seen an ad earlier on the TV. Yeah, he watched a lot of TV. He's stuck in the house, and it stood out to him to go to Hawaii. Yeah, that's funny.
So presumably they are off to Hawaii to celebrate as we fade to black.
It's time for Gold or Cold.
All right, it is time for our gold or coal segment. We are each going to bring 3 gifts to the podcast. If there is more gold, it is full steam ahead. If there is more coal, it's a puddle of tears. And if it's a tie, it's just a meh. Merry Christmas. Josh, I'm coming to you first. What gifts are you bringing to the podcast for this movie?
I will start with gold. This movie was surprisingly sweet for a plot that was bonkers. Like, the plot was bonkers. Let's just get that out of the way. But this movie was still surprisingly sweet. I thought it was really heartfelt and really endearing. I enjoyed it. So gold for me out of the gate.
I will give some gold as well. Dustin Milligan plays Jack the Snowman, and his innocence that he plays this character with is so pure and, like you said, sweet, because just it is like he's a fawn learning to walk in the woods or something, because all of this is new. And I think they did a really good job with that. And they did pay attention to those details, that he needs to chew on ice. No, he doesn't have fingerprints. Like, some of the things that I think other networks may have glossed over, like just it's Christmas magic. They kind of made it a little more realistic in that he's a snowman, but there's consequences to that. So I really liked that. I thought that was well done. Gold.
Good. More gold for me, the townies. The townies in this movie, excellent. The casting, so good in terms of picking people to play these quirky townies. I just loved them all. I thought they were great. The sheriff was a standout. The doctor was a standout for me. But just all the way around, I loved the townies we got. So more gold.
Yes. I will give gold for the scene when they do all come together and get enough money to get him out of jail and get the bond. And in the end, they were so close. But the kid who he had helped ask a girl out on for the to the dance earlier in the movie is actually the sheriff's son, and he's the one that gave his last little bit of money to put him over the amount to get him out. And I thought that all worked for me. That was very sweet and heartwarming. Gold.
Great. Gold for me for Lacey Chabert. This is not her typical kind of Christmas movie role, and it could have gone really sideways for her in this. But I think it works because it's just enough in her wheelhouse, but also kind of outside her wheelhouse that it's interesting. And it's fun to see her play in this role and kind of do some different things than we're used to seeing her do. And I think she really did a great job with the material. So gold for Lacey.
My last gift will be controversial, I am sure, but I'm going to give some coal. Overall, this movie kind of bummed me out. Like, it wasn't a bad movie, so I know I'm going to be probably alone in this, but like the way they shot it was kind of gray and dreary. There's the ex-husband dying of cancer. I did not enjoy watching Jack sweat and nearly die. Like, it went on. Those scenes creeped me out. Like, it made me feel uncomfortable. It was a little too real as far as it can be real with a snowman dying. And it didn't give me warm fuzzies. I'm sorry.
No, I can see that. Yeah. I can see that. I don't know that I agree.
I didn't enjoy it. I think it's a good movie. I did not enjoy it. But
yeah. Well, in the bottom line, of course, it's a good movie. Our score is 5-1. 5-1's a pretty great score for us, and so
solid.
I would say that we think it's worth your watch. Lots of good material here. Lots of laughs. A little bit of heart. A little bit of downers here and there, but just to give it some depth and some range. All told, a pretty good watch.
That, friends, is another episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Special thanks, as always, to our good friend Nick Schwartz for our amazing theme song, and to each and every one of you for taking the time to listen on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on YouTube.
That's right. Speaking of, hit subscribe on YouTube or follow us on your favorite podcast platform to get the newest episodes as they drop. Up next, we're going to go back to the Hallmark Channel to recap and review Christmas with the Sings, and here's the plot summary. Holiday traditions and cultures collide when Asha and Jake meet their families. Well, that's short and sweet. We will have much to discuss, but until then,
may your days be merry and bright. We will see you next time.